In the past few years in college women's basketball, Baylor University has had a big advantage, as big of an advantage as any team in the history of women's basketball, literally. Have you heard of her? Brittany Griner. 6 feet 8 inches tall, a 7 feet 4 inch wingspan, athletic, skilled, talented, and she had a tremendous team of people around her and an excellent coach. And Baylor, as a team, knew how to take advantage of their advantage. With her size and her skill, they worked their offense around Brittany Griner. Smart strategy. You can see one of the things that she was able to do well here in this picture. Defensively, Baylor understood that they had a great asset, that she was such a good shot blocker. They put a lot of pressure on their opponents, so they'd have to drive into the middle into Brittany Griner. Well, Griner became the all-time leader in block shots in NCAA history during her time, men or women. So it was a good strategy to force offenses to go toward Brittany Griner. I had the chance to broadcast a number of Baylor's games over the last 4 years, actually 28 of Brittany's games during the course of her career. A fantastic personality and a charming young woman in addition to the talent that she has. And I can say, arguably, she's the greatest college women's basketball player in history. They used it to their advantage. They won the national championship. Baylor did her junior season. And this season, her senior year, they were ranked #1 in the country most of the year, and they were the favorite going into the NCAA tournament. It appeared nearly impossible that anybody was going to beat Baylor. You see, coaches understand and athletes understand the concept, the idea of take advantage of your advantage. And through my experiences as an athlete and a coach and a broadcaster, if it's okay with you, I'd like to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned as far as taking advantage of your advantage, so I can help you take advantage of your advantage, whether it's as a professional individually in your career or as a leader of a business or an organization or a team. So here's one of the first lessons. First, identify your strengths and carve your path. My passion for sports started early. As a 4-year-old, I went to my dad's practices. He was a volleyball coach, and I was the ball girl running around learning more about sports at a young age. I'd watch sports on television and in person, and I would observe and learn all I could about the various sports I was watching. As an athlete, I loved to analyze what my opponents were doing so that I could figure out how to gain an edge, how to gain an advantage. Another one of my strengths, I think, is that I was an oldest child, and so I like to explain and educate my younger siblings what they should be doing. I think they call that bossy. Anybody else ever get that label as a child? I like to think of it that I was just developing my leadership and communication skills at that time. And so those are my strengths, observing, analyzing, communicating, educating. And so I carved my path originally to be an educator and a coach. Question is, what are your strengths? And I don't want you to just think about the things that you're good at, but also what you're passionate about. Because if you're good at something and you're not passionate about it, you won't have the heart for it. If you're passionate about something but you're not good at it or skilled at it, you're going to become frustrated that you're not able to accomplish what you want. It's that combination of what you're good at and what you're passionate about. And I challenge you to find a way, either with your job or your role within your job or your assignments that you take on, match up your strengths with what you do on a day-to-day basis. Take advantage of your advantage. Number 2, put this on a whiteboard because it looks like something a coach would say, right? Train and prepare to perform. Coaches and athletes understand the importance of practicing to prepare. How often are you training and getting better at what you do? You're here for professional development, personal development. Bravo. How often are you practicing and training to be ready for your opportunity? If an opportunity arose today, Would you be ready? If I told you right outside that door, we're breaking for lunch in a few moments, there's the biggest opportunity of your life right outside that door. Maybe the biggest assignment or the prized client that you've been going after. All you have to do is walk out this door and prove you're ready. Are you ready? Well, I think luck is when preparation meets opportunity. You've heard that before, right? Well, I have to admit, the biggest opportunity of my broadcasting career was a lucky break. You see, after I coached for 8 years, I decided to move on from coaching and tried out a few other things, and one of them was broadcasting. And over the next 3 years, I got 10 assignments, mostly local television and regional television. But my dream was to be on national television. The Big 12 Conference was forming at the time, and Fox Sports had their national package of games, and so it was my dream to be a part of that package, but I hadn't got myself in front of the right people yet. I didn't win a national championship as a coach or a player. I played at a small college. I wasn't even a Division I head coach. Nobody really knew me. I hadn't been seen by the right people. So one day in 1998, speaking of the last century, boy, that seems a long time ago, doesn't it? 1998. I was the executive director of the Women's Final Four that was held in Kansas City. That was my job, and I was working on building this broadcasting thing on the side. And some friends and I decided to take a break on a Saturday afternoon, drive from Kansas City over to Lawrence, Kansas, and watch a Big 12 game, University of Kansas versus Kansas State, the big rivalry. Well, it was take a girl to the game day, and my friend Patty took her niece along to the game, and there I am up in the right corner there. Yes, I have a little more of a budget for hair coloring now, so it's... But we took our picture, and if we would have had Facebook at this time, I would have posted this up later and said, this was the day I was offered the biggest opportunity of my career. But we didn't have Facebook, so it stayed on the camera roll, and now you're hearing about it 15 years later. So we walked up to Allen Fieldhouse, and there were huge lines of people, and a lot of people were taking a girl to the game that day. And being a former coach, I didn't like to stand in lines at games, so I said, you know what, I've done some local television and radio for these guys. I'm going to sneak around to the media entrance, and I'll meet you guys inside. So I snuck around to the media entrance. I didn't have a media credential. I walked in the door, and the first person I see is the media relations director. And I said, hi. And he said, oh, good, you're here. I was very relieved because I had just snuck in the door. I said, thanks. He said, are you ready? I said, ready for what? He said, to do the television broadcast today. I said, what are you talking about? I'm not assigned to do the television broadcast. He said, I know. Fox Sports is doing a national television broadcast today, and there was a mix-up. One of their announcers did not show up for the game. The analyst is not here. They need somebody to do the game today. Will you do it? And I said, no thanks, I just don't think I'm ready. No, I did not say that. But how many times in our lives, are we offered an opportunity, whether it's obvious like that or more subtle, where we say, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. I'm not really prepared. What if I fail? And we miss those opportunities. But when he asked me, would you like to be on national television today? I said, hell yeah! And I walked into Allen Fieldhouse, and I was numb, I was in a zone, and a friend of mine was the athletic trainer for the University of Kansas, and she actually had been observing and understood what was happening, and she had told them that I was coming to the game that day. That's why they were looking for me at the door. And she grabbed me by the arms, and she said, this is it. This is your break. Go kick some ass. And I walked over, and I introduced myself to my play-by-play partner, Kevin Eschenfelder, and I sat down, and I had my live audition on national television. And I used my strengths of observing and analyzing and communicating and educating. And now, 15 years later, I've done over 500 live sporting event broadcasts on television because of that opportunity that day. My question for you is, if you have an opportunity presented to you, will you be ready? The next thing to take advantage of your advantage. Appreciate and affirm the role of each member of the team. You know, individuals experience great success in the context of a team. When Diana Nyad came out of the water just a few weeks ago, what did she say? She said, never give up on your dreams. You're never too old to accomplish something. And this may have looked like an individual endeavor, but this was a team effort. She had just accomplished one of the most amazing individual accomplishments in the history, in our time. And she acknowledged the team. In my experiences as an athlete and a coach and a broadcaster, I know the most successful teams are the ones where everybody on the team understands and embraces and owns their role. And no matter how small or how big their role is perceived, everybody appreciates and affirms their role. I was lucky. I started as an educator. I was mentored that the most important people in the building are the custodian and the school secretary, right? And so you learn that everybody on the team has great value and everybody should be respected and appreciated. You know, you see us on television and you see and hear two announcers, but it's an entire team of people that makes those broadcasts work. Producers, directors, camera operators, graphics people, audio, technicians, on and on. And it's so important for everybody on the team to appreciate and respect each member of that team to be more successful. Next, reassess and reinvent. You see, in sports, coaches and athletes will go in with a game plan, but sometimes things don't go as you plan. Sometimes you have to make adjustments. It's the same thing with your career. You may start your career because of the strengths that you had and start building in one direction, but things change. But remember this, with your experiences, you have gained new experiences. You have gotten more knowledge. You've gotten new skills and new experiences that you may not even realize are your strengths. So it's time to reassess. Really take a look at, now that I have experience in my field, what am I good at? What comes easy to me? What are people telling me that I do well? What are my strengths? You see, in this field, I was getting calls from network executives asking me if I would be interested in being a play-by-play announcer. Well, I really saw myself as a basketball analyst, being able to break down the plays and talk about it from that way. So I actually turned down some opportunities. I forgot about the lesson that I learned earlier in my career. I turned down some opportunities because I didn't see myself that way. But the more I kept being asked, the more I realized that people were seeing things in me as strengths that I didn't even realize that I had as strengths. And they knew about opportunities that I didn't know about that I could be taking advantage of. So when I took those restrictions out of my own brain, out of my own self, worlds of opportunity opened up to me. And I was able to do more assignments because there were more assignments available. I could be play-by-play in men's basketball and women's basketball, volleyball, softball, soccer, this summer in Russia with beach volleyball. It opened up all sorts of opportunities. So my question for you is, what restrictions have you put on yourself? What have you told yourself you can't do that other people are nudging you and saying, you can, you're good at it? Follow where that might lead as far as the assignment that you have, the role that you play, and maybe even volunteer opportunities in the community. So finally, believe in yourself and make it happen. That's a theme today, right? Well, sometimes you may have big dreams and other people tell you you need to be realistic. They may not believe in your dreams. You have to believe in yourself to make other people believe in you at times. Remember, I started this conversation with Baylor and the great advantage that they had with Brittany Griner. Well, everybody thought going into the NCAA tournament it was going to be impossible for anybody to beat them. They had such an advantage. They rolled through the first and second rounds of the tournament, and then the third round they faced the number 5 seed University of Louisville. Everybody picked Baylor to win that game, and it would have been realistic for Louisville to think that they probably couldn't win that game. But Louisville believed with all their heart and confidence that they could take advantage of their advantage. What were their advantages? Well, they had good three-point shooters. They didn't have great three-point shooters, but they had good three-point shooters. So they had a game plan. They were going to shoot as many three-pointers as they could to stay away from the lane where Brittany Griner was. They had belief. Other teams had made three-pointers against Baylor, but every time they hit a three, they believed more, and they believed more. They hit 16 three-pointers during the course of this game. They had only made 6 three-pointers per game on average the whole year. Every three-pointer they hit, they believed in their game plan that this could work. They had a boldness. They decided they were going to be very physical and very rugged with Brittany Griner and try to take her out of the game as much as possible, take away the strength, the advantage of Baylor. And they were successful in doing that. She only got 10 shot attempts in that game. And finally, they had a special swagger, the University of Louisville. They didn't go into the lane very much. They shot all those three-pointers. However, there were 2 key plays in the game when they did. Their sensational guard, 5'9" Shoni Schimmel, was driving down the court with about 10 minutes to go in the game. They had a 14-point lead, Louisville. She saw Brittany Griner up ahead of her. She started driving right at her fearlessly. She crossed over to her left hand and took it right at Brittany Griner in the lane. She jumped up into the air and, well, I'll show you what she did. She turned backwards and extended her arm out in front of her so that she could flip the ball up over her shoulder, over the outstretched arm of a player that was over a foot taller than her and it had an incredible reach. She banked the ball off the backboard and scored it, got fouled, and made a 3-point play. It was the play of the tournament. When asked after the game, how did you have the courage to take the ball at Brittany Griner? She said, she may be Brittany Griner, but I'm Shoni Schimmel. But that put them up by about 17 points with under 10 minutes. Baylor came back. They came back, they scored, they caught up with 11 seconds left, they hit 2 free throws, they went ahead, and everybody thought, well, that was a really nice try, Louisville, but Baylor is going to win. Louisville didn't call a timeout. They rushed up the court. They got Baylor on their heels. They attacked the basket one more time going into the lane. There was Griner up ahead, but they still went ahead, and they put up a shot, and they missed it. But they were fouled. And Monique Reed went to the free throw line. She made 1 free throw to tie it. She made her 2nd free throw, and Louisville pulled off the biggest upset in the history of college women's basketball in the NCAA tournament. They believed in themselves when nobody else did. What is it that seems impossible to you? Believe in yourself and make it happen. Take advantage of your advantage. Thank you.